feel like I have coconut in my tooth.
You probably do.
Are we gonna not talk about like your fucking weird ass chocolate bars you guys got?
Yo, Buenos are delicious, bro.
Better, yeah, but I don't understand. He goes to the convenience store and he's just like, let me grab that and this. And I've never seen it before.
It's never been done, man.
And it's like,
If I go to that did you go to the gas station?
yeah.
I get Bounty and I get Big Turk every time.
But it's like they're only restocking for you. Like, I couldn't imagine.
Yo, you know what? Nobody would buy candy from there for years, and it was always stale.
Yeah,
from that gas
they
station.
have like the white coating on it.
Because crackheads don't buy candy, man. They only buy the little. They sell the roses.
Don't buy candy.
You know the roses? You ever
Cherry
been?
blossom ones?
No. It's not candy. They don't buy,
candy.
buddy. They're not eating. They're on drugs.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a little glass tube, right? So you can do fentanyl.
Oh.
But it's got a
little
rose in it,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
just
yeah.
throw it out, right? It's like blunt wraps.
Yeah.
Like you just toss the tobacco. It's like that, but for crackheads.
It's pretty fucked.
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? It's your boy, Daniel. Welcome back to the channel.
Yeah, that's a great intro.
How's
This
it going,
is episode 27. We got a special guest here. Dan, you can speak up at any time.
All right, so we got our boy Zeeve here today. What up? What up?
That's me, Zeeve.
Yeah. Dan3 TV. Thanks for tuning in. Episode 27, y'all. We're here to lay up some knowledge on y'all.
We brought Zeeve on because we wanted to show that we're culturally diverse on this podcast.
That's right.
I'm Jewish.
I'm Jewish.
That's why I'm here. Relative.
We found him on, we put an ad out on Craigslist and he responded, so.
Back pages go crazy.
Yeah.
That's true. I was offered some weird chocolate, but it was fine.
Yeah, can I get we'll give you a Big Turk if you show up.
Big Turk.
Big Turk. Turkish Delight from Mr. Thomas himself.
I've never ate that in my entire life.
What, a Big Turk or Turkish Delight? Or
Either.
Both, yeah.
Like,
What about Bounty?
Did you try the Big Turk?
no, but I wasn't about to.
I didn't offer.
You know,
I
Big Turk is just candy and chocolate.
Okay. But like, you're going to a convenience store and everything's in front of you and you're just like, those are my options.
Yes.
How do you get there?
Years and years of this is the acquired texture that I like.
One time when I was like 15, I went to Shortstop and I bought it. And I was like, this is fucking sick.
Yeah.
And then I never
It's probably
stopped.
about the same, yeah.
But out of all your choices, something.
It was just had a random pick of the draw one day, and we're like, hey, yeah, I like this chocolate bar now.
No.
I think it was because I've had every fucking chocolate bar they make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You go through
what? Then you go
Era.
back. Then you go back to the Skittles and like the Smarties. You're not just picking a Big Turk and leaving the store and being like, expanding my thing.
I've heard that from many people many times,
true.
and I refuse to accept it.
I've also heard that.
I just, you know what? Fine.
I think
It's like
I'll say this: you're right,
Good.
but I don't give a fuck.
I'll take it.
You're right, though.
At least you know what you're doing, okay?
It's an old lady chocolate bar. Like they did.
Yeah.
It was like a Great Depression chocolate bar or something. You know.
It ain't like the Werther's candies.
But you're an old lady. You like Werther's.
I do like Werther's.
Werther's
yeah.
are gross. Man.
No,
Dan has, like, he'll come to work and all this loose candy comes out of his pocket. And he's
Yeah.
like, you want some, man?
Yeah. That's the type of shit chocolate do, man.
It's different. But he comes
You
with
want
his
some pocket
beard.
gum?
He'll, like, shave his face and just his beard. Want this gum? No, thanks.
the mustache.
You know, like, I don't know. He's a big people person, but
Oh yeah, absolutely.
gets you.
Just stay away from the kids, man. That's all I ask.
Well, he works at a mall.
Oh, there's lots of kids there.
We all know David's the biggest predator that we know.
No, man. Stop slamming your phone on the fucking table. You got the microphone that's like
Statistically speaking, biggest predator.
the biggest predator. I've never been a. This is gonna
Looks in
stay
the-
in,
looks
but I'm
in the
not.
mic.
I'm not a fucking predator.
I'm also not a
I
predator.
want on record that
Yeah.
I am not a predator.
I'm a fucking lion, but I'm not a predator. You know.
Lion?
I don't know.
You lion?
I feel like predators don't have to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's also true.
Like a predator was.
I am not that, okay?
If someone calls you a predator, you're gonna deny the allegations.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Hey, you're a predator. So
Yeah, right?
But why are they calling you
It's
that?
called apex predator.
it's Dan's just saying that because he was
It's called
known as
apex
yeah, I'm
predator.
the top dog.
I'm the top one. You're not even correcting it. You're
Yeah.
just, you're a predator. No, I'm the predator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you really want to be?
Well,
If you're not on top.
Dan's just pissed because everyone called him a predator a few years ago.
Everyone being only David for the record.
No, actually, people
Only
called
for
you
the
a predator. We'll talk about it off camera, but
I feel like
No.
that was not something you should call your friends. You rock it
Yeah.
I
up.
didn't start it, man.
He's a predator.
I didn't start it. I didn't start it. Somebody's mom started it, but that's not
True.
Dan, are you a peeping Tom?
Oh yeah, he gets panties out of the people's dressers.
You guys are assholes.
People's dressers. People's mom's dressers.
Nah, it's different. That was a great intro. I liked how you were supposed to do it, and it got
Yeah, it got-
shifted off
yeah,
responsibility.
I know, but
The
we
fault-
got
fault's on my
a
own.
couple things we'll get into today. I mean, first things first. I talked about this on the solo episode. It's hard to do solo episodes, by the way. So,
You're welcome.
but someone's got to keep this fucking podcast going, right? We talked about the conspiracy about the wildfires in Maui.
Okay.
But me, just
So
me.
it's just you.
Just in
Just-
Maui?
Well, I mean Hawaii mostly, right? That's where I've been seeing it the most lately in the recent news, right?
I was seeing a lot more of the BC fire stories.
Oh, you've been seeing it on about that too.
Yeah.
Canada's been doing it too.
Yeah.
Was
So explain to me a little bit, because I'm not that educated on it. What is the general theme of the conspiracy?
I have no clue about the conspiracy in any way, shape, or form.
The
The only thing that I've seen is people saying that they like are getting in shit for having their their drones, like their remote control drones, flying up in the air and like taking a view, and it's almost like a straight line.
Yeah.
Looks too like concrete and in place for it to look like that it's like
So-
just from fire.
Yeah. So
That's
so
why it's
like
an energy
big-
weapon.
Yeah. Okay. So
but that was in Hawaii, right?
that was in Hawaii. Yeah, right at the coastline. All the nice property was stayed
Yeah,
intact.
exactly.
There was like a huge fire, but there was like all these properties that like stayed, and like the biggest one was like these umbrellas, 4 like blue umbrellas that like stayed
Right.
up, even though like right next to it, like the entire thing was destroyed. And it was like, how could that have even happened?
They're fire retardant. I don't know.
So is the theory that they are destroying people's homes? It's because they want to buy the property, like they want to own that land. So
That'd be
they can
cool.
Develop it.
That'd be cool.
Is that what the theory is?
I think so. I think in Canada it must be right. Like too much of Canadian land is owned by government, and
Yeah.
a lot of it's forest. So like the Canada can't just go and like eradicate all the forest and all the land without like everybody being upset.
Right.
What do? Conspiracy wise, they burn it down,
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
and everybody's just saying like, how is it happening? Like all these wildfires everywhere. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's a big thing. Hawaii's a separate story. I think, with the aliens coming up in Las Vegas,
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah.
that was just a ray, maybe an alien attack that went down. Why is it not to think that?
No,
Yeah.
I trust me. I'm on board, but I just didn't know like exactly. I kind of learned a couple things since I talked about it.
Yeah.
But so the energy weapons. So the government is doing it. Is what they're saying.
I think in Canada wise, like, who else but the government would be
Yeah.
doing that
Yeah.
to like the entire
Well,
country?
maybe like some kind of big developer or something.
Right? Like
Big
they want to
pharma.
use the land.
Yeah.
And like
that's the one.
the entire land like above Canada is all like forest. Right? Most of Canada's population lives in like the southern part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But like all of that is just undeveloped, just huge lands that they just like if they were to deforest it without this, people
Yeah.
would be concerned
There'd
and
be
upset.
people tying themselves to trees and shit.
Right? So they just like what do they do? Burn it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just like
Can't tie yourself to a burnt tree.
Yeah.
you talk about like the housing problems in Canada, why we don't have lumber. Well, they're just burning it. We just can't get it. We can't make these houses.
True.
It's
That's a good
horrible.
point.
I'm surprised that Hawaii also got devastated.
Well, I guess because like it's prime real estate. Like
A lot of
Hawaii
people,
is.
a lot of people want to retire to move to Hawaii.
Well, think
It's
about
fair.
it. If you got a bunch of like poor people living in like prime real estate on the island,
Get rid of it.
get rid of it and build condos.
I mean, and how else would you do
It
it? in
seems
today's
like
day?
it takes an evil fucking person to do that, though. You think about it, and they exist. They
do
exist.
exist.
Who wouldn't? Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't.
Opportunists.
I feel like I'm echoing like a bitch right now. I'm not sure what's happening.
You sound good on our end.
Yeah. You guys sound fantastic somehow.
Sick.
I'm surprised we pulled this off.
Great.
Surprised we. It's
You
not.
gotta,
it's
you
not
gotta
our
make my
game.
voice matter, be the
Yeah, that's
loudest.
right. No, you. Yeah, you're the guest, so we want to hear what you have to say.
Exactly. There you
People
go.
are sick of hearing from me and Dan.
Well, you had your own private show. What did you? How did that even go?
I've
Episode
done
3
4
now.
now. It's
4,
basically just
sorry,
me
yeah.
telling the news.
Yeah.
It's like
That's nice.
you don't laugh. Like I'm not laughing at my own jokes. Like there's no jokes, you know.
You're just
Reading
talking
from a
about it.
teleprompter.
Yeah, it's just Anchorman, you know.
Today's
Yeah.
news.
Today's
Wildfire.
news. Yeah, I try, but I mean, the thing is, we need to keep content up. So like,
Good.
you have to post something.
Yeah.
And I got to keep clips up. Like you constantly have to keep posting shit. So if Dan can't make it around, because he works a lot.
Yeah.
Dan's busy.
So if
Yeah.
he can't make it, I have to put something up. Like I try to put up something up every week or every 2 weeks at the most, and then TikTok clips, right? So
Yeah.
Like I said, entrepreneur. Like doing the most out here.
yeah, I could do more.
Wow.
You know what I think I'm hearing? I'm hearing myself on both mics. Maybe that. Yeah. You know what's funny? That actually helped. So that's definitely what
Come
the problem is, bro. I'm hearing. Yeah, do that. There you go. That's so much better. Yeah. Point it down because I was getting this hat top of the mic.
Yeah.
Okay. I can maybe remove some of that echo. Hopefully, but yeah, the wildfires. There's some pretty crazy conspiracies out there. Well, they were doing something similar with like the food distribution and chicken chicken coops and shit in the States right during COVID.
Really?
So remember there was already a shortage of food products and stuff like that. And they were burning down. All these warehouses were burning down.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so people were saying, oh, they're just trying to, like...
Yeah.
Similar thing, right? Like, make a... You know what I mean? Make a... Kind of further the shortage of these things. Again, like, I can't prove any of these things.
No.
Allegedly.
Not gonna start your own investigation.
I'm not Alex Jones. Like, I don't have the resources, you know?
The freedom writers over here.
Well, that's
running
conspiracies.
around.
You just have to talk about them, discuss them,
Yeah.
hear different sides.
It's just nice because it's nice to know at least a little bit more about the conspiracies if you're going to talk about them.
I think
And like a lot of them that are already kind of prevalent out there, like we kind of know everything about them.
yeah.
And like it's a lot of them just been kind of proven to be true. So it's nice to stay on like the top. You know what I mean? The more relevant ones.
Yeah, top 5%.
Do you know who coined the term conspiracy theory?
No, who's that?
CIA.
Yeah, that makes sense. To make people sound crazy.
So they did, right? So
It worked.
during a time and they just made a conspiracy and they put in such a stigma. Now they can label someone and they're just completely wrong and false.
And then they probably put out their own news to kind of dispel it, right? Like crazy man finds aliens and tell the people we were talking about conspiracies a little farther. I don't know where this cuts off, but we're talking about agent provocateurs and January 6th and Area 51, and that we were hoping that Area 51 raid that happened like what was that like 5 years ago?
5 years.
5 years ago, we wanted that to go down, but then we were comparing it to like how come like people didn't rush Area 51, but it was so easy to rush
the Capitol building.
There's
and
the Capitol building.
and then that kind of went into the agent provocateurs, how they have like people planted in the crowds that kind of set it off.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. I think in every instance, the government needs a certain level of control.
That's what insurgence is all about, right?
So. Right. Like I think it would be way too hard to be like a government in this day and age, right? Like so many people you'd have to like make sure to follow you. So many people that you'd have to like control.
Yeah.
And like being in North America, all these people.
That's the governing body of
then there's
90%, right?
Then there's division in the government, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's different sides that also want different things,
Absolutely.
and that's where things really happen too.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's why like they love the division, right?
Yeah.
I have this thing where it's like America's 50 states, but they're smaller than Canada, like per like size.
Yeah.
But it's like, why then 50 states? Like, it's very hard for 50 states to make a choice.
Yeah.
Right? Canada's 10 provinces and 3 territories?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, maybe a bit better for like these people to make choices when it's 10. But you split into 50. How is anybody supposed to get anything? You know, gun control, no, makes like you can't get a thing. Like abortions, you can't get anything. 50 people have to make this choice. Why do you think that happened?
Yeah.
They love division. They like people hating.
I think that can be a good thing though too, because like it gives you option. Like let's assume that there's no evil intention and like things would be good. Well, you know what I'm saying. Like in a perfect world, there's no curtain.
Yeah.
And everything is, you know what I mean.
Okay.
Everything is, there's no evil people behind the curtain. Like having like options like, okay, this state's really blue and this is kind of what I align with, so I'm gonna move there.
I get
state,
it.
you know what I mean? But that's in a perfect world, right?
I get what you're saying because it's great and leaves everybody for opportunity to make their own choices. I think it's harder for like younger kids, right, who don't have the ability to move. Right? Like, let's say one state's like pro-abortion, and then it's like sure, people who don't like it or want like it go there.
Yeah.
But if you want to have it, you would have to leave, and if you're like a young person who needs it, it's very hard to like have to move out of state just to get that done. You'd want your state to do it.
Sure.
But you're right, like having that choice is very important. That's a very good mindset to have, I think.
But at the same time, like what you're saying is like, that's in a perfect world where there's no bullshit happening behind the scenes.
There's no such thing,
right? Yeah. So we know that's not the case. But ideally, you could. It gives you the freedom to make options. Like if you want to move, you want as much freedom as possible. You know, move to Texas. If you want to be taxed to hell and all your money goes to someone else, move to California, type of shit. You know what I mean? Like
governor.
You can, and you know what I mean. There's like extremes, and then there's everything in between. I'm sure, right?
I know so little about U.S. politics. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not even about politics. It's about human emotion, right? He's talking about like if in a perfect world, if there wasn't this veil, but like the only thing that stops humans is their emotion, right? Like jealousy and greed. It's like all these things that carry over, and it's like even if you wanted to have a perfect country, you can't remove stuff like emotions. So like even if you had everything good, someone would be jealous. Someone would want more power. Someone would want like. You just wouldn't be able to stop that, no matter what.
And that, like, a lot of that is just human nature, right? Like, you're gonna have people that are everything in that sense it is a spectrum. Like, there's gonna be people that they're consciously they don't give a fuck, and they do just want greed. They want to be at the top, right? And they're gonna do what it takes to get there. And then there's gonna be people on the opposite end of it too, right? But unfortunately, like, one holds more weight than the other. You know what I mean?
They just do more with it. It's like
Yeah.
It's like why they say, like, I think it was in America, like higher percentage of psychopaths are like the CEOs.
I believe it.
And it's like, well, why is that? And it's just because they're making like the more cutthroat decisions.
Yeah.
Just because they can. They don't have the emotion to like stop them
Yeah.
and like get them to think about the better choice. They just want to do what's right for them.
Yeah.
And like put them in a position where they can CEO.
Yeah. And I mean, at the core of it, that's kind of the American dream, though, right?
Money and power.
Every individual going for what they want, right?
Yeah.
Specifically, and that again, that could work. That can work, but the systems are easy to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Right. So
I would say.
If you act as an individual and everybody, here's the problem. Like, there's always an asterisk, right? And the asterisk is always like assuming nobody's willing to do fucked up shit. But like, if everybody as individuals like strives to be the best as themselves and do as much as they can to be
a good human being,
but also like productive and successful and all these things,
Contributing,
right? And contribute to society. I think that's like a good path. But again, we got a certain percentage of those people are willing to do some fucked up shit to
get there.
Yeah, on that path, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would say most. Are you an optimist then? You seem very more like humans are born good instead of bad.
No.
I try to think that.
No, I don't
You
think
try to
like
think
that at
that?
all. I'm just saying like I'm painting the picture like in an ideal world that would work,
I
right?
could never imagine an ideal world.
He's more realistic than
I think like for me, like myself, like I think about it like I'll take care of me and mine, you take care of you and yours, you take care of you and yours, and I'm not worried about what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be successful for myself. I'm gonna work my ass off, and like I'm not gonna fuck anybody if I can help it, but I'm gonna worry about myself first.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I think about it. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of how I look at it.
But that's probably like most people then. And then you're going about your day kind of like worrying about number one. And
Yeah.
then, like you might just get blindsided about like other factors when you're worrying about that.
But there's also people that are they just worry about themselves in more of a negative way. Like I got all these people that live around me that are just chilling on welfare. I see them get food delivered from the food bank. So I'm just watching the time. They get food bank deliveries, but then every day they get skip the dishes.
Oh, come on.
And that's on my dime.
Yeah.
So they're
That's
worried
true.
about themselves, but they're not doing anything. They're not being productive, and they're not trying to better themselves at all.
Being a leech off the system.
They're just leeching off my money.
Yeah.
So you can go both ways with it, right?
Yeah,
and then at the same way,
Is that
and
why
then
I said that's probably why he comes by with food often so much for you.
oh no, that guy's not on welfare, but his tenant
Oh.
was he's moved out. But you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like I would
Yeah.
see the food bank show up,
Yeah.
big box of food, which is fine, because he has kids. But at the
Ingredients, whatever, yeah.
same time, he took all this money from the government, the taxpayers, to go to school, and then didn't finish school. You don't have to pay the money back.
Crazy.
Bought a couple dogs, bought a computer for himself,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
TV.
You know what? You know what I'll say? I'll say I've heard that, and I'll compare it to. I think it's very easy to understand why they're there. I think it's very easy to understand when you compare the Serb. So many people during COVID took Serb when they didn't need to, and
Right.
and so many people just like took advantage of it,
Yeah.
and like you can even understand why. Like these people are in worse positions than the people taking Serb, right? Then it's like they get all this money. Then it's like, what are you gonna do with it? You really gonna like be in a position where you want to pay it back? No, like I want to contribute. You have money now.
Yeah.
You're probably doing drugs, and you're just gonna live with it. The
Yep.
people who like everybody took Serb, and like instead of working and doing better during that time, like I worked in an old folks home.
Yep.
Instead of needing Serb, like I didn't want to go through that and pay it back.
Yep.
Instead of doing that, they just took it and like spent money on like PS5 and like clothes. And like
Yeah,
I know so many
PS5,
people,
yeah.
right? And it's like
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like these people in welfare, like they get all this money, and instead
Yeah.
of doing something better with it,
Yeah.
it's so easy to go down this hole.
We talked about this before on a previous episode about like the whole mom thing, like where like the single mom was outraged because she had to pay back like half of like whatever it was, some sort of loan that she took out, and it might have been Serb, but she's like, oh yeah, I have like my child tax benefit. It's supposed to be like $300 a month, blah blah. Now it was only $30 because I had to pay back stuff.
Yeah.
How can I afford to get groceries for my babies? Blah
You-
blah blah. It's
Those,
like
the people that are so willing to take taxpayers' money are the people that never had to pay didn't lose 30% of their income
Exactly.
to taxes. When I have
Exactly.
to lose like 30-40 grand a year to taxes,
That's
trust
a
me,
lot.
like I'm gonna fucking feel it when I see you ordering DoorDash
Yeah.
every day and smoking cigarettes out front all day.
Well, it's
Yeah.
more like you're really feeling it. Like it's coming out of you.
Yeah.
And it's going somewhere, and you expect it. But half of it's not even going for over. It's just going for stupid ass climate fucking taxes.
Yeah, climate taxes. And you know what? So like statistically, so if you pay taxes, right, about 10% of your income goes to healthcare, right?
Yeah.
Which healthcare is a good thing. We need healthcare, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, like I also this is again me looking out for myself. Like I have health insurance, right?
Okay.
And I'd be willing to buy my own private health insurance
Yeah.
if I didn't also have to pay,
I would do the same.
Would you?
I would do
Yeah,
the
I
same.
Would you pay for privatized healthcare?
I would
Absolutely.
I would pay for private.
Because here's the thing. So I'm not gonna say how much money I make, but I make enough where I'm paying more than it would cost for me to have private health insurance. So
That's fair.
right. So again, as a whole, if I'm looking at everybody that makes less than if you make less than say $100,000 a year, universal healthcare benefits you.
Yeah.
Because maybe you pay 10 grand of your taxes are going towards healthcare at $100,000 or so.
I'd be
And it costs about say if you were to have private health insurance, it would cost you maybe $13,000-$14,000 a year or so, somewhere in there.
yeah.
So yeah, at that tax rate, it benefits you, right? But for me, I'm like I have medical benefits through work. I have medical insurance through work, and then whatever I didn't get, I'd be willing to subsidize with some kind of insurance policy, right?
Sure.
If I was able to get my taxes, if you get your money back, like if I'm not paying into that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it like from the perspective of anyone that's not making enough to pay for health insurance, but like if we're voting individually, like that's what I've been on the fence. I was on the fence about this since like 2019. Like I was all for universal healthcare for years and years and years, and then I think more or less the last 6 or 7 months I've really changed my perspective on it. And I don't know.
I couldn't
Well,
imagine.
how do you feel about it?
I was at a point where it's like I was going to the hospital a lot and staying in like rooms and like being there, and you just leave the next day.
Yeah.
Then you don't pay anything. And
Yeah.
I feel like if I was in a position, like say I was in America,
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have got that opportunity, right?
Sure.
I wouldn't have felt as safe going to a hospital. Like I wouldn't have I would have had to concern myself with money and like maybe more stuff that would have made more mental anguish. And it's just
Right.
like I can go there and
Yeah.
let's say you're a mom with 5 kids. And
Yep.
let's say all of them break their arm.
For sure.
If you had to pay for that,
Yep.
you couldn't.
Yep.
But you just go there and it's free.
Yeah.
Right? You're spending your time, and of course that's a problem. But like, let's say if you have all this money, you could go somewhere else. Like we have friends who traveled back to India just to get their operations done because
Right.
this would take too long.
Yep.
And maybe they have the money.
Sure.
Sure, go do that. And it's one of those things. But I felt very grateful being able to go to the hospital and leaving right away and not having
sure.
to pay. And I had all these stitches done, and you can still just leave right away.
Yep. No, that's exactly what I'm saying. So like, from my perspective, since I'm paying all this money into it, like, from a financial standpoint in my life, it makes more sense for me to have privatized healthcare.
So-
But for the mass majority, maybe not the case.
You should get the choice.
So maybe the
But-
difference
but
is.
if you opt out, then there's no money. A lot of people would opt out, and there wouldn't be enough money to fund it.
well, what
But
about?
here's no. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say.
That's a great point.
What if you had like.
That's a great
Not
point.
necessarily like the lesser two evils here, but just playing devil's advocate. Let's say you have free healthcare up until you're 18, and then now you have to choose whether or not you're going to live off the subsidy program or the premium, like be paid for your own privatized program.
Yeah.
That's something I would look
That's
into.
basically
more.
Obamacare, right?
But that's like
I
what they
have
do
no
with
idea.
Doesn't work.
the medicine, right? Like you don't have to pay for your like meds until you get to like 25,
Yes.
right? And then you start paying for your medication.
I didn't have
Yeah.
that experience.
Right. So right now, like even right now, I feel very grateful. Like I take prescription medication,
Yeah.
but every month I don't pay for it. Right. I'm still under the age or this and that, where like it's just free.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's amazing, right? Like
Yeah.
I think in America I'd have to pay, let's say, 100 and something or this and
Right.
that. Like, and I feel like that's great.
Yeah.
Like I know my taxes are going there, but
It's the type of thing where it's like either everyone's in or nobody's in.
Gotcha.
Because like think about this, I used to work for this company and we had a health plan, but I was trying to opt out of it, right? Because
Yeah.
I didn't want it. I was 20, I didn't want to pay any more money to them.
Yeah.
But it was the type of thing. No, everybody's involved, or the fund doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like everyone has to pay into it, or you don't get these rates for these.
So you could be like the last guy on the wheel of like 13 people, and then they're like, "Oh, David didn't sign it. No free donuts this
No,
week."
they just force you. If you want to work at this company, you have to have the healthcare.
Okay.
I mean, like
This is what's cool is like we can just talk about this, and it's like I think it really depends on the point you are in life. Like how old are you?
I'm young, so I'm 22.
Yeah, so like when I was 22, yeah, I was making okay money. No, I wasn't really. I was making making like $19 an hour or something. Like
Yeah,
I wasn't
I make nothing.
Yeah, so I mean, in that case,
I'm not really concerned with money and like what I'm really doing with it.
Yeah.
So
that's not just surviving.
But at the same time, like I also wasn't ever. I didn't use the healthcare system. In
That's
this
what I'm
country
saying.
for
Like
10
I also
years.
didn't. When I was like, I'm 30, so like when I was in 22, like I was peak like health, like still pretty decent now, but like nowhere near like the capacity of needing to like constantly go to the hospital or like needing like prescription drugs or anything like that. Like the closest thing I got to prescription was like allergy meds or for like an asthma for a puffer when I had like bad lungs growing up and shit. That was about it.
Yeah.
Right. So
and I the last 2 years I've had health issues and I have.
So
used
yeah.
it.
So for you, like it works there, right?
But like my meds are my prescription Medicaid. Any prescriptions I have are covered by my union benefits.
So there you go again, right? So
but my doctor's visits, that's covered by the taxpayers, right? And if I got blood work, urine sample, ultrasound, that's all paid by the government. But I would also, again, like
that's amazing.
I know, but I didn't.
But that's amazing.
But I contributed tens of thousands of dollars over the course of 10 years.
And there's no way it's.
But don't even think about it like it with your money.
I know,
don't
but,
even think about it.
I know, but you gotta understand when you see your check and you lose 33% of your check, and your check is not like I don't make $1 million, but I make decent money. So when you see that go,
But you're helping someone. At the end of the day,
I
you're
know,
helping
but
me get to the
here's the
hospital.
problem.
He's looking for number
I
one.
think-
And you're
you're
helping me stay in a room and pay for my cash.
You know the old I don't know the exact the phrasing of this, but they always say like when you're young you think more liberally, but as you get older your mind kind of switch conservative. That could definitely happen to me.
Well, the world kills you, man.
Yeah.
You get to a certain point where you're like, I don't even care. Like,
it wears you down.
Well, you see all these people. When I got out of high school, I was all for helping people. Like we gotta help people. People need help. But then you experience people. Yeah. And you see that people take advantage, and people are like,
in our line of work, we see that a lot.
Yeah, 100% you would. And living around here, where I have the homeless camp, the homeless shelter, and all these people stealing and damaging property, and then still their lives are funded by me. Yeah. Because I pay property taxes, which the city pays for all building. This stuff to exist. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like we try to help them, like not me. But there's people out here actually taking those dollars and trying to help people, right? And volunteering their time. Yeah. And nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
And I get it. Like fentanyl's a hell of a drug, man. But nobody told you had to go on fentanyl.
No.
And the argument, my argument at 20 probably would have been like, oh, they had a bad home. They had a bad home life and stuff. But you know what? At some point, I realized like, as you become an adult, you have to be accountable for your own shit, and you have to be responsible for your own fuck ups.
Drugs are hard.
Huh?
Drugs are hard.
Drugs are hard. Don't do them.
But you did batch. How hard was it for you to get off of batch?
Yeah.
You can only imagine.
I know,
you can only imagine heroin and fentanyl. Batch can't kill you. These drugs can.
But here's the problem. Here's the thing. At any point from 0 to 18, did any teachers or authority figures tell you that heroin's not that bad? It's okay. You can get off of it.
They tell you it's bad.
They tell you it's fucking
bad. But why do they tell you it's bad?
Because it's highly addictive and it's gonna ruin your life. And
it does. And because of that, it just is highly addictive and it does ruin their lives. There's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah. See, that's that.
They try to quit.
Trust me, I thought like you too.
You're right. 100%. It's because I'm young and naive. And
I'm not old, but I mean, like I've just seen in this area since I moved here 5 years ago. Yeah. And since I've lived here, it's like been very hard for me to sympathize for anybody. I've hardened.
It's fair. We work in like a bar community, right?
Changes,
And we see like all these drunk people, and we like let's see how they take advantage, and even just like the regulars and the people like who live in the town who consistently drink and always get drunk every day. Yeah. It just is what it is. When it comes to addiction, like it's very hard to talk about addiction.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's like
for sure.
I could only imagine.
There's people that you see weekly that come up and it's like, oh hey, yeah, I didn't see you last week. It's like, yeah, I took the weekend off, whatever, right? And it's like, oh, I missed you. I was like, why are you looking up for me? Like, look up for yourself. You know, like I don't know.
I don't know. I get it. Like fentanyl is like nightmarish. I'm nightmarish withdrawals.
Right? Like even heroin, you're just throwing up. You're like you're just dying, and it just
demons are flying out of you.
I don't know. It's so hard. Like it. You know, you picture like even celebrities. These people with all the power and money they have and all the help that they can get, they can't even quit.
No, they still fall in.
Right. So it's like imagine these people on welfare, like or these people who are already down bad. You know, like without like this white light, something pushing them there, why would they want to? Right? The
No,
drugs
no,
make them
nobody
happy.
wants
They're getting money somewhere and they're just living. And it's like, even me, like I like to smoke weed and I'm very like in it. Like,
Yep.
it's just there's so much harder drugs, so much worse things.
sure,
I just
for
can't
sure.
even imagine it.
I think maybe I just think, I don't know. I had good role models.
That's good.
So right, so it's like I just always saw like people that you can look at people and be like, all right, well that dude he's good, like he's doing well, and his attitude is a certain way, and I think his attitude is the reason why he's a certain way. And then there's people that have poor attitudes, poor work ethic, and no willpower, and that gets them to the point where they do fentanyl, right? And then again, trust me, if I took one fentanyl pill, I would be on the street. I know that.
Right. I would say it's like you said, like attitude. So I think you would be fine. I think at the end of the day, like,
I don't know. Fentanyl's a different game.
oh,
It's a different ball game.
It's a whole different
You
breed.
can't get off of it once you're on. Like I saw this kid on the internet, and he took one at his high school graduation. He thought he was taking a Percocet because they're stamped the same and they're the same color, same shape. And he thought he was taking a Percocet. It was fentanyl. Boom. He was on the streets for
Really?
3-4 years. He's like, I can't get off this.
Damn.
Wow.
But like I said, and some people don't have parents that tell them, or some people see their parents doing it.
Yeah.
It's just environment.
Right? But again, you do have role models at between school
Listen.
and
Thank you.
you go to. I don't know. I think I get there's a lot of
think it's
nuance.
I think
There's a
like
lot
you
of
said,
nuance. There's a lot of nuance.
It's environment.
I think it's environment. Like
It's nature versus nurture. Like, what environment are you brought up with? Like, what
but
culture you're
I
behind.
like to set a standard, the same standard for everybody, unless you're disabled or something. Like, I'd like to set the same standard for everybody. Like, if I see someone that's 18 years old, I'll even give you to 20. If I see someone that's 20 years old, all right, you got to be accountable for yourself now, because nobody's responsible for you anymore except for yourself.
well, there's a reason
that's
why they're
adulthood.
not accountable.
Yeah.
And it's most likely their parents if they don't have like a stable thing and a stable understanding of like how to even live in the world. Right? Like you're 20 and like if
you just decided your future that you wanted to go into, and now maybe you've changed like your major or whatever. You're in school, you chose that route.
but it's definitely like environment, right? Like no one who's just like born in this great place, like even celebrities, right, like are put in such a status. It's not until like they meet all these other people who are into these heavy drugs, into this like certain lifestyle, where they get into it, and then it's very hard to get out of it. But it's like the kids who already have like a poor housing, living in these places where there are so many drugs, obviously they're going to get into it.
For
And then if everybody around you does drugs, and how do you
It's
quit
very hard,
it?
It's very hard to come out of that, I would say.
Right?
And I agree with that. I
Yeah.
just think like you have to set. I think maybe it's just the way I think.
It's the way it's
like
mindset.
I like to set it. I like to set a standard and be like, all right, let's hold everyone to this.
Yeah.
And because you can't just, I don't know. It's like one of those things. Like you can't just be like.
It's not.
It's
like,
just the way I operate. I think.
It's where you're from, where it gets the morale. It's like your moral compass. It's
Because-
everything that you like stand for and everything, right?
Because okay, I've talked about this before. Like my dad grew up in like almost third world poverty in Canada on the East Coast, right? Didn't have running water, didn't have electricity for a good portion of his life.
Yeah.
Really?
Dropped out of high school when he was 15.
Yeah.
Moved out, you know what I mean? Like he had grew up around alcoholics, barely had any role models or father figures or anything.
Yeah.
He moved out to Alberta when he was 16 years old, him and his brother.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? He's became super successful as a welder and plumber. A fitter.
So you're at a position where like you think it can be achieved.
I've seen it. And same with his brother, the exact same thing. And I've seen people, and let's say
Come from less.
let's
to-
talk about
into-
immigrants,
into
man.
more.
Immigrants come from like people that come from India, where half the country doesn't have running water.
Yeah,
or
because it's like a caste system there, right? Like if you're born poor, you don't get to associate with.
they
people
come to
of higher
Canada with
status.
almost nothing. They
Yep.
work 80 hours a week, go to school 30 hours a week,
Yeah.
but
and
they care.
and
they care.
But it's like, where's the addiction?
Okay, well, yeah, but what we're saying is they could easily come here and be like, wow, this is hopeless. Like, this is hard because it's not easy to come here and work all those hours and go to school all those hours. They come here and say,
They grind.
we're going to fucking grind because back home, I was shitting in a river last week.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time. I talk to a lot of Uber drivers. And we know that most of them are Indian, right? And it's like, they're like, yeah, I came here and I work
Because
Uber.
it's the most
and,
accessible job. It's the easiest, most accessible job.
and they do it on their off hours.
They do it
Right?
at their second job
Yeah,
or
so
third
yeah.
job.
You work at
They hustle.
Yeah, they hustle like us, and they came from the worst possible conditions that nobody and who's to say that they also didn't have bad families or bad parental role models.
Because they're here.
But they come here and they fucking kill themselves, and you know what I mean? They're not blaming anyone else.
I think it's like, I think it's definitely, but I think it's two different things. One of them being like they're coming here in a different mindset. Obviously, they work really hard and they have to like do all these payments, right? A lot of it's paying back home, giving the money back to their family, and a lot of it's trying to get their status here. Where like if they get like, let's say 3 or 2 driving infractions, they can't get their PR, their permanent residence. They have to be like above the law. So they obviously can't even get involved with drugs then. And then let's just talk about like your father, right? Leaving at such a young age. Only imagine if he was on drugs and like invested in the drug community. Like it's so hard to stay motivated.
A lot of his friends did though, or at that time it was mostly alcohol, right?
It's good that he stayed away from it, but it's like.
But like you can easily, like those Indians can easily come here and be like, holy fuck, this is way too hard, and then I need a release. You know what I mean? I need something to relieve my stress, and then boom, go down to this corner down here and buy a couple fentanyl pills, smoke them off of a foil.
So you're saying why don't they?
I'm saying like they have the option too. This is more just devil's advocate at this point, but
then I would say they're still like older. I would say the people who are into the heavier drugs aren't older people. They probably did the drugs a lot later in life, right? And then now they're older, and then who are still addicted to the drugs, right? The people who are coming over here, let's say the immigrants, they're older, right? They've maybe experienced with drugs, but they're not like addicts. They're not there.
Well, the students though. Like all these students that are getting kicked out of Canada because they lied on their visas or whatever. They come here at 18, right? I don't know. I think my thing is always like I just always think that I have a lot of belief that people can if they want to.
Yeah.
If they wanted to,
you could.
But then it's like you said with like the attitude and mindset. Like it's like it takes a certain person to have a very strong.
That's not instilled. I think that's learned.
But isn't that on you to learn it?
Maybe, but it's
also how you reciprocate learning, right?
You might not even want it.
Yeah.
Like right now, like
if you're not shown that same light that you got, or like that same like courteous gratitude, other people don't have that, right?
And I agree with you guys actually to a certain extent about this. Like that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of nuance to it, and obviously person by person case.
Yeah.
But I just like to think like very black and white.
No, exactly.
That's how I think.
Yeah.
So it's like.
It's
just hard for me to give people passes anymore. I've just seen so many fucking losers wasting time and wasting my money, and like it's my money, it's your money. You pay taxes.
It's my money and I
you
want
pay taxes,
it now.
And you know what I mean? Like
I want it
now.
I should get a lawyer involved to sue the government. Really?
Did you hear about that big class act lawsuit that's going on with Facebook right now?
Yeah.
I saw the one with Apple. Oh.
No, so Facebook's a huge class action lawsuit. If you had it since like December of 2008 or 9 or something like that until like 2022, you can file for this thing and you're going to get like hundreds of dollars.
Because what's some kind of data thing?
Yeah, data was breached and they're going to like get money for it. Anyway, sorry, I should have gone.
No, that's good. We should segue. We just went on for
I just
30 minutes on.
I think it was a great. I think
that's
awesome. I like talking about that.
That was a good conversation. Yeah. And you know what? You got to hear people's perspectives and I talked about this with the Twitter removing the block option.
I saw that
like
segment
people
too.
are so in their own little worlds and echo chambers. It's like you can just block everyone that doesn't agree with you.
Yeah, I want to hear only what I like.
They removed the block feature.
They're
trying to remove it. Yeah,
you can block the DMs, but you can't block.
So like if somebody went out of their way to message you and be like, "Hey, yo, I don't like how you said that," you could block them then, right? Okay. Versus replying to like your tweet about a controversial topic
and then just immediately blocking them.
Exactly. Right?
And that's like removing freedom of speech.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a public forum.
Yeah.
So it's like you're only hearing your opinions you want to hear, and you never get your feelings heard. Yeah. You never hear the opposite side, so you can't learn.
But they don't care. People who like
people
do
that they don't care.
Well, they're gonna have to care now because you're gonna be more careful about what you tweet.
I think it's important to hear criticism.
Absolutely.
Right, like a lot of it's like it needs to be separate from hate. Like if they're just sitting there hating on you, but like. Sure. Giving you criticism, like saying things, you need to be able to hear that.
Yeah, somebody should be able to tell you that you're wrong and this is why versus XYZ reason versus like being like, oh, like the sky's blue today. Oh, what? The sky's red. What do you mean, right? Like same shit. Yeah,
you should be able to talk about everything freely.
Yeah, in
the way that it is. Canada has been bad with like
because C11. That's the bill that passed that like limits all of like the news you see now. So.
Well, yeah, it was Bill C11 passed in like the midnight when like no one was there. It was Trudeau wanting to remove like the debates being like filmed and put on the show.
Yeah,
and like Pierre Poilievre was like, this is horrible. Like, debates need to be shown.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he went in like the Congress and was talking there and pulled up a book.
Yeah.
And like the main justice head was like, put that book down. And he's like, this book is still illegal.
Yeah.
And it was like, it really showed because he didn't let him continue without putting it away. And it just showed that like the freedom of speech is gone.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't even show this book. Why not?
Yeah.
What are you hiding from it? Why can't he show it? Like,
Yeah.
he's trying to say something. He's trying to, and you're showing him right away that take it away.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's a microcosm of the whole picture right there. It's an example.
and it showed it. Showed it so clearly. Like, this whole official head who's supposed to be unbiased. It's just remove it.
Yeah, there's so many videos that like I see online now lately that are like Pierre Poilievre or whatever. He's engaging with like the opposition, and he asks a single question, a very direct answer, yes or no,
And they're not giving it
and
to
they
you.
never give it. They never give it.
It's the best way to like hear you. They're just the political answers they give you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you see it in TV shows.
It's like, hey, what was the budget for like Sir blah blah, blah that was actually given to Canadians?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, Your Honor, right wing.
right.
Whatever.
well, actually, we're
Yeah.
just doing everything we can for
Yeah.
Canada.
We generated 1.6 revenue for Canadians last year. Everyone can agree with that. So again, what was the budget?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I find it hard to trust politicians. Did you watch the Arnold documentary?
No.
Any of you?
No.
So it was in 3 stages and about his bodybuilder life. Then at the end is about his political life because he becomes like the governor of California.
Yeah.
And he's talking about like his political trial and going to all these things and saying all this. And he's basically saying like, oh, like he does these lies and say what he needs to say because it's the political way to do it and like get ahead. If we understand that as a community, then how do we trust our politicians?
For sure.
Yeah.
We know that they'll just say what they want to win, and
Yeah.
they go around saying the same speeches and the same stuff just to, and we know that.
Yeah.
And we're okay with it. We're like, you know what? The person, we love him.
Yeah.
He's our
It's-
guy.
It's crazy how much like they like to like I don't know what the expression's called, but it's like whitewashing like the terms of like this is like a main focus that they're gonna focus on for like a campaign that they're like going about
like housing, and
exactly.
they just talk
like,
about
oh, housing is bad, or like Family Guy did a big spoof on it with like Peter versus Lois, like 9, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
right, like 11,
Yeah, it's just you're just a game. It's just
just-
Game of
it's just-
Thrones. It's Game of Thrones.
It's dumb. Or like House of Cards did that too. Same thing. Right?
Let me pose a question then, because I've thought about this a lot actually. So we're in 2023 where we've got technology like beyond
Yeah.
that. Like we have the technology to do anything almost at this point, right?
Okay.
So we elect all these people that inevitably corrupt the system and take advantage of the system, and like everybody, that's humans in general.
It's human nature.
You know, ultimate power ultimately corrupts, or whatever the saying is, right? And like, who's to say that you and I wouldn't as well if someone offered you a brown envelope full of cash, type of thing?
Yeah.
Right. So how would you feel about some sort of maybe blockchain internet-based system where you can almost choose where your tax dollars go, or even to a lesser extent, some kind of system that would allow you to vote on specific things, and you could go on there and you could just say, okay, this is what we're bringing to the House, yes or no. And then all Canadians could have access to it somehow. Like, it would be, obviously there's details that would be very complicated to get out to every Canadian, but how would you feel about something like that?
I think obviously that's the better thing to do, but I think the government doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if they had a poll that said Bill C-17 or whatever, we would all have said no. We would all be like, why would you need to censor stuff?
Yes.
Right? Like, why would that need to get done? And Trudeau's thing was amazing. I don't know if you heard Trudeau's response to it, but he was like, I was on the internet the other day and people are believing in flat earth. And they're believing in flat earth because people sit on the internet and try to sell flat earth.
Yeah.
And because people can try to sell you such misinformation, we, the government, need to be able to control that.
Yeah.
So you don't just believe in flat earth.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
if someone's going to believe in flat earth, then we know that they're a bit...
Yeah.
But it's a conspiracy.
Yep.
It's something that they need to hear and need to know. And if you're going to hide it, why are you hiding it?
Yep.
Everything we know, like history and is from the government, right?
Yeah.
Like, the winners are victors. We don't fly. We don't know the world. We don't know if there's like islands that don't exist that they put on
sure.
a map. They teach everything.
Yep.
Every history that you learn is taught by the government. And if they're not going to be free with that and open and be able to discuss it,
Yeah.
what is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And they have the power now to hide it.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be great for there to be a vote, but it's like, I think in every city there's like a town hall where you can go and like kind
Sure.
of discuss these things that they want
You
to
don't
pass
even-
within your
yeah.
municipality.
I've been to them
Yeah.
a couple few
I was
times.
gonna say you don't even need to do that. Like we have the capability through technology now to send a emergency mass like notification through an Amber Alert or a
Right.
text or whatever. Why like if people really wanted to, they could easily go and be like, "Hey, emergency alerts going on. This vote is about to come into pass. Do you want to support? Yes, no."
But-
and you would have 100% response rate.
I'll tell you this. So I was in college a couple of years ago and I learned a thing, and it was our demographic.
Yeah.
Like more young kids, you're 30,
Millennial
but say like
area.
more my area, it was the highest voter demographic.
Yeah.
Right, our votes mattered the most out of
Yeah.
every age,
Right.
and that was like new for the year.
Yep.
And then this year, they passed a thing saying they can't be any like political stuff on TikTok.
Yeah.
And why do you think that was?
Yeah.
Right, the NDP leader saying had like a TikTok account, so did Pierre Poilievre,
Yeah.
but everybody hated Trudeau.
Yeah.
And it's like removing the ability for our generation who was always on their phone, always on their technology, to see the media of the politics
Yep.
Yeah.
is specifically designing us to not be involved in
That's
it.
exactly what it's for.
Right? They know that the younger kids have the capacity to change the vote and they'll meaningful,
Yep.
and we know that we're going to see it from the media.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what
If
they
you only-
do,
if
they
you only-
ban it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If,
They
you
made-
only, if you only see one side of the conversation, like, this is your outlet to see both sides.
Right?
Whatever.
And they won't let you.
Yeah.
Right? They pass so many laws banning it all. So then
Yeah.
you're only going to see Trudeau. You're only going to see the person who's ahead of the entire
Yep.
and head of all the like the media
Yep.
who
Yeah.
they say isn't.
Yeah.
Right? Like
CBC's
Yeah.
funded.
Well, they funded-
Yeah.
well, yeah,
A retarded amount of money.
Twitter like ruined him. He was just like, you guys are funded. Have a label. We're not funded. Prove
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Tried to
that's right.
sent a chart.
Yeah.
That chart was rigged.
Yeah, yeah,
It
we
went,
talked about that.
It was like 100K to 700K, then to 1.7 billion.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like they changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why are you covering these things up?
Yeah.
Why are you hiding it?
Yeah.
Once these conspiracies become true, it's very hard to believe and trust your government.
Oh, for sure. I have no
Yeah.
trust. I don't trust anybody in politics. I think most of them are scumbags, and I don't have any trust. I'm a small government, free market guy, so I want to see as little involvement from the government. I think the government should regulate large companies like for certain things, but leave private citizens alone for the most part. Obviously, there's certain things that I think they should present information. Right, proper
they hide
information,
it.
and let people make the decision for themselves. Right,
Yeah.
like
They
they didn't do that during COVID. And like we won't get into COVID. That's a 2-hour podcast.
I would have too much
But
to
like
say.
all they had to do was present people, and the information was obviously wrong week after week after week. But let's assume that they knew all the information at the beginning, and they say, all right, this is the information, present it to people, mail it to them, email it to them, put it on multiple websites, whatever, however people need to access it, and then they can make that decision for their family, for themselves. So if you think that something's scary, okay, well, protect yourself. But if you're not worried about it, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They strive on misinformation. Like during COVID, they
Sure.
fear mongered a lot.
Absolutely.
Right? It's because, like I said, like when you're government trying to control a population, it's very hard to.
Yeah.
Right? And especially when a population can, like what Dan was saying, like have the power of technology and everybody can talk to each other. It's very easy for the mass community to like not believe in the government and believe in other things, like, and just follow someone, let's say Trump, and then all of a sudden you're like going into the Capitol building because it's just like that's someone you
right.
believe in.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
The government should just be like a faceless entity that unbiased, impartially uses our tax dollars to fund the proper things.
Yeah.
I mean, again, dream world, but I'm saying like that's what it
You
should
can't
be.
say who's the proper
I shouldn't
thing,
even know what the prime minister's name is. He should just be a computer that, you know what I mean?
He's supposed to do only good for you.
Yeah.
And if he's not making those choices, but it just, like it, they made it together when they did church and state.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like they made the government be able to have all these choices with their money. It made it so much important. They put religion into it.
Yeah.
And then when they took it away, it was like, hey, government. But they in charge of everything. They made laws and they make the entire society. But now they're never in a position where they can get rid of the government.
No, yeah.
Right? North America isn't just going to like get away from capitalism.
Yeah.
They're not just going to get rid of it because too many people have money.
Well, I'm big on capitalism, I'll say that. But I mean, there's crony capitalism, and then there's how capitalism should be, right?
Crony?
Crony capitalism is basically like what the Democrats do in the United States, right? Like, or like most countries, right? Like, there's just too much reach. And actually, I was surprised to see that they passed that in the States because Nancy Pelosi and them were making so much money on the stock market, right?
Yeah, during COVID.
They knew everything was going on, right? So they could just dump the stock before it passed on these big decisions. But so it's like, I think capitalism is a good thing myself, but I mean, it's got to be less corruptible.
Look, I have no opinion. I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like you people don't truly like capitalism, right? They don't like getting their new iPhone and it not coming with the charger.
For sure.
And it not coming with the headphones.
But
and that's because a big company can make those choices and they can choose to sell what they want to sell and how they sell it. And when they're in the position like Apple versus Samsung and they're doing it like this, it's like both companies now stop giving you the blocks. And now you have to get a separate block for this new charger, right? Like, and that's capitalism.
I think that comes down to the people though, because what you're describing is, so we have the market, right? And the market works on its own, right? So let's use the Loblaws example for example. Everyone was bitching that Loblaws was price gouging, right?
Yeah,
they were.
They were
making a shitload of money, and their prices are like literally a pack of bacon is twice the price that theirs and it is Food Basics.
Yeah.
So how the free market is supposed to work is, okay, well, I don't like the prices at Zehrs, or I don't like the product that Apple makes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to a competitor. Now in the phone sector, obviously the two most popular, Samsung and Apple, people want those the most. Well, guess what? Maybe you have to bite the bullet and you buy an LG phone. And if everybody says fuck Apple, we're gonna start buying LG phones or Google phones. Well, guess what? Then Apple has to make a decision like, are we gonna continue to rip people off, or are we going to adapt to the market? And the market is saying, we want chargers with our phones, or we don't have to buy an adapter for our headphones.
Yeah.
And the same thing, if I don't like the price of Zehrs, I go to Food Basics.
Yeah.
And Food Basics is cheaper, and if enough people only go to Food Basics, well, Zehrs has no choice but to adapt their prices.
Yeah.
Now you can make the argument for the groceries a little different because a lot of it's a convenience thing for people that don't. Yeah. A lot of people don't have vehicles, right? So if Zehrs is the closest thing to you, that's all you have. Like that's a whole. But that was just an example, right? That's a broad example. Point. So obviously, people, if you can't go to Food Basics, but there's Food Basics, or this is a low income area. There's 2 Freshcos in Food Basics, so they place stores strategically, right?
Absolutely.
So like there is a Zehrs here, but it's way up the street.
Yeah, you have to be accessible to get it. Right. You're not just going to willingly go to that one out of your way. And be like,
yeah. So like
now I have to take a 40-minute bus ride just to get back home. Like,
yeah.
Not many people want to do that.
Yeah. So like that's also maybe a non-argument too, but grocery is different because that's a necessity. But I'm just using it as an example. But and people, the thing is, people are so buying into the brand names of Apple and Samsung. It's like. Yeah. I have to have the latest iPhone, even though it was the same as the old iPhone.
Whatever.
They add I don't know what they add. I haven't had an iPhone in years, but I literally buy LG phones. I'm using me as an example.
I see it. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like you have to. The market will adjust itself, and certain things you do have to bail out. Certain companies, certain businesses you do have to kind of bail out and subsidize a little bit, but.
Yeah.
Again,
it's just inflation.
Nuances too, right? There's nuance to all these discussions.
Well, yeah, like, it's definitely fair. Like, it's definitely like with the food prices, right? Like definitely something to go to. But I would just be like, they would raise their prices back up.
Yeah.
Right. Like if like bread, all the bread went up.
Yeah.
Because one person went up and they're still buying it, so we're gonna make ours go up. One can't be cheaper. Like you just can't.
$4 for a loaf of bread when it used to be like $1.25.
Right, like even McDonald's, people are like, let's go to McDonald's, it's cheaper.
Yeah,
right. But McDonald's made all their prices more expensive. It's better to go to Tim Hortons.
Yeah,
it just like is, and I would say like 100%. It's smarter for people to go lower in prices and make everybody go there, but that's not going to happen. Yeah. It's human nature to not let it happen.
So well, that's on people, I think. Then no,
I would say it's on the shadow people, the conspiracy. They're stopping them. Yeah. If someone wants to do good, we need to make these prices lower. Yeah. We're going to be a non-profit. We're going to give everything to the entire world.
Yeah.
The other companies would kill them 10 out of 10 times before they lose their profit.
Yeah, that's true. Profit is important.
Right? Like you
do need to make profit.
Anything. It's like the cigarette companies. They were going ham against non-vaping because they were losing exponentially. But then they decided to invest entirely in vaping. Yeah. And now it's good to be a vapor. Now it's might as well do vaping because they realize that's where the money is now.
Yeah.
But they would have done anything. It's the gas companies killing the guy who invented a water power car.
I saw that.
Sure. Yeah. That's a whole thing too.
That's better for everybody.
He tweeted out the night prior, I would never kill myself.
But other companies have losses, so they wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
And it's only human nature and corruption that leads it to that.
For sure.
Every time.
But I think there's certain things there are certain things that but I mean, if we're talking just on like a daily scale, like things that you use daily, like if I think Red Bull is too pricey, I'll buy Monster.
Yes, and I do that.
If we're talking about little things like that, obviously like there's shit at play that we have no control over.
Yeah. I do that though, right? Like it's like if I see Monster's cheaper, I will get the cheaper product.
For 4 years, I only shopped at Zehrs.
Yeah.
Literally only shopped at Zehrs. I bought everything there.
I go to Zehrs.
And the last year and a bit, besides meat, because their meat's garbage.
Yeah.
I only shop
Good
at
old
food basics.
Ziggy's.
And guess what? My bill is half.
But I don't think people know that. Like me personally, like I don't have money.
Yeah.
But I would still, like, if I'm getting food, I'm going to Zeere's.
Right.
Because I've just always gone to Zeere's.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even think that a different food store would be cheaper, because
Right.
like why wouldn't Zeere's
Right.
have that cheap food?
Right.
Like
you're,
why
you're
wouldn't?
paying for all the flash too, right?
But from a
Absolutely.
food store, that's
But-
ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I enjoy going to Zeere's because of like I find that like the food quality is better for a lot of the fresh fruits that I like to eat.
For produce and meat, Zere's has better stuff, but I mean, like, you got there's flyers you can get stuff on sale. Like my
Then
mom,
that's true.
every week my mom
Yep.
looked through every fucking flyer, and we went to every store
And that's true.
that
right?
had the best prices. Even if you have to drive around a little bit,
Yeah.
we would
But
go to
that
every
seems
store.
like a pain.
It is
Like
a
I'm
pain.
Jewish and I still
I
don't
know.
even care.
Yeah.
Like, and I still
Yeah.
don't even care.
The
It's like
Jew-
it's like what Dan said. Like if the Red Bull is too expensive, I would just buy a Monster. I would just buy the fucking Red Bull.
So
Like
that's
I
a-
don't care.
So is that not a problem? That's a mentality. Then that's a lot of people's mentality, and that was my mentality.
But it's a
forever.
poor mindset.
It
Like,
is a
I have a
very
very.
bad mindset.
I
That's
know it's
why I
negative.
don't have money.
And I think a lot of like my generation, your generation, we think like that. I did that. I always thought like that. Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
If I'm
$5,
buying the
whatever.
drink,
Yeah.
I'm buying what I want.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not just gonna be like, oh, I want this Red Bull. Oh, but it's more expensive. I'm gonna subsidize and get a
Yeah.
Big Turk. You know, like fuck that.
But that's what the greatest generation did. That's what the every generation up until like Gen Z or
They knew
Gen
what they were
X,
doing with their money.
They wouldn't. Yeah, exactly.
They knew what they were doing.
They wouldn't just because I mean I mean a lot of it's probably like man we could go on 40 million ways with this, but a lot of it's probably advertising too, right? So we buy
Brand-
into the
brand
advertisements
alle-
a lot more than my parents
Brand
did.
allegiance is a lot stronger in our generation
Yeah,
now than it
exactly.
was prior.
Brand
Because,
allegiance,
because
for
we
sure.
care, you know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if it's
like he's talking about like Samsung versus Apple, right? Like I've been an Apple guy.
but it
for
matters in the
continu-
community. Like
Yeah.
you're wearing a Kiss shirt.
Yeah.
Right, you're only wearing that because like of your own opinions on it, and like maybe let's say other people's.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's a lot different than just wearing a plain shirt,
Yeah.
and that carries on to like society and what people see. And like if you're wearing a specific shirt, that's your character.
Yeah.
Right. If you're gonna drink a Red Bull over a Monster, if you're gonna drink this and that, like it's preferences.
Yeah.
So I think so if we talk about, I think we can draw the line between that's consumerism versus capitalism is a different thing. I think maybe
Right.
what's wrong is the consumerism
It's a
part
smart
of
guy.
capitalism.
Smart guy.
I'm not a smart guy.
I think he's a smart guy. He's
I just-
teaching me a lot.
I just watch YouTube.
He's teaching me a lot, and I
just-
like
you went-
it.
you did go to
I
trade
just-
school.
I just work construction.
Opening
That's
my
it.
mind.
Yeah.
No, but no, this
Did
is
you know he weighs 260?
this is just oh yeah that's Bradley Martin on YouTube.
Yeah.
You ever
that's
see those memes? Bradley Martin has his own podcast,
Yeah.
and he'll have fighters on like UFC fighters, and he'll be like.
You think you could take me?
Like you think it'd take me in a street fight, and it'll be. A
I
guy,
saw that.
and he's a $150, right? But he's like,
I would kick your ass. And he's like, no, you wouldn't, man.
But I'm 260.
He's like, I weigh so much. He's like,
Yeah.
I would kick your ass.
Yeah.
Well, it
That's
comes
funny.
down to like technique over strength, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, what does Bradley Martin know about
He
fighting?
doesn't know shit.
Nah, nothing.
But
What's he gonna do?
Most of the fighters will say like, "I'll kick your ass," like no problem. But
Yeah.
what's Sean O'Malley?
Sean O'Malley,
he's
yeah,
the
Sugar Sean.
He was on and he said he looked at they're friends, right? Because they're in that circle, the Nelk
Yeah.
circle, full
Yeah,
send
yeah.
circle. But he's like, yeah, you know, fuck, if I got on your back, I could probably get you, but you could just fucking drop
Yeah,
on
it's
your
huge.
back. You know what I mean?
Right, there's a reason why there's so many weight categories,
Yeah,
right? Like
it's true,
boxing,
it's
there's
true.
infinite, and then MMA, there's tons, and
Yeah.
it's like. He's massive,
He's a big fucking
and it's
guy.
all muscle. It's not
Yeah.
fat,
Yeah,
right?
I
It's
know,
all
I know.
muscle.
Yeah.
Like that's a heavy dude on you.
But it's
right?
like if
So,
you, I don't know. I couldn't imagine like if he's fighting anybody kung fu, losing,
Yeah.
right? If he's
Yeah.
fighting anybody with kicks, probably losing.
Yeah.
It's
Muay
more just
Thai,
like
Thai-
if he
yeah.
gets close to you and holds you,
He's got you.
he's got you.
Yeah.
Because that grip strength, he's a monster. Like
Yeah.
he's, you're punching him in the liver, not going anywhere. Like
Yeah.
abs, like
Yeah.
it's just.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where like if you're a lighter weight like Sugar Sean, your punches wouldn't do anything in general.
Yeah.
So you'd have to rely on like going on the back and like choking him. But it's like
He's got to be like 6'2" or 6'3".
he's
too.
massive.
He's tall.
He's he would be a very hard person to fight.
Sugar San said, like, I'd tire you out. Like, I'd keep
Well, that's
running.
how
Like,
you do
He
it.
just stands there though. He's just pivoting.
Yeah.
He's like
He
Bradley
wouldn't
Martin's
move.
conditioning is probably not
Probably,
great.
yeah.
Maybe better than all of us because
Yeah.
he is kind of an athlete.
active, yeah.
But Sugar Sean is like conditioning is unreal for sure.
Yeah.
Like he runs probably miles and miles a day.
You have to fight in your ring for all this time,
Yeah.
continuously, many rounds.
Continuously.
Try doing that.
There's no breaks.
I gas myself after 1 minute of fighting
Yeah.
with a friend, right? Like,
We can assume both Bradley Martin and Sugar Sean could beat all three of us at once.
nah, no
Individually.
chance.
All three? I don't know.
I'm beating those 14-year-olds, like
yeah.
Yeah,
how many 7-year-olds could you take?
Yeah.
Like I'm beating them all, man.
Yeah, I could take a few. I could take probably 37-year-olds for sure.
Who was it? Joe Rogan was like, I could beat them all.
Yeah.
He's like, he was like 50 of them. He's like, every one of them. He's like, do they have weapons? No, I'm kicking every one of their asses.
Yeah,
He could, and he could.
that's true.
But it was like, and the person you brought in is like, but what if they like formed like a group and like thought about it strategically and like went on you? Like you're not winning that. And it's like it's fair.
Just
10
one-on-one?
10 people running up on you, and let's say like one of them two of them grab your leg.
Yeah.
I think you're fucked. I think if 2 to 3 little kids grabbed your one leg, no, then another one grabs your arm. Right? There's 30 of them, and they're actually thinking, and they're thinking,
Okay.
you lose.
Okay. 37-years-olds with the intelligence of a 25-year-old.
You're losing.
You're
losing.
You're losing.
Right? They're coming and kicking you in the shin, right in the balls. They're being dirty, man.
And
But they're
biting your
winning.
arm, yeah.
Right? It's like it was like if an MMA person were to fight like 3 guys who like you've watched Baki.
Yeah.
Where it's like the 3 people who are very coordinated beat the shit out of like the Mike Tyson guy.
Yeah.
And it's because it's fair. Like even if you're good, 3 people like doing coordinated stuff, holding your leg, punching, you're not gonna be able to do all and slip all of it.
Yeah.
Something's gonna go
Like,
through.
it's Naruto too versus the end girl, right?
Who's the end girl?
The rabbit chick, Kasuna.
Kaega?
Kaega, yeah.
Holy fuck, anime.
Oh, you need to get into it.
I used to watch some anime. Yeah.
This could be a
Not
whole
Naruto.
podcast on fucking anime.
We could pull that off actually.
Yeah.
Anime edition. Everything is broken podcast anime
Oh,
edition.
bro, I would go off.
Yeah.
Oh well, we have you on for sure.
I would go off.
You're welcome to the show anytime.
I appreciate it. You let me know when Dan's slacking. I'll just show up.
So
I'm
so
the
every
Jewish
week-
support, and he doesn't have to talk to a wall today. I'll just show up high as hell.
Co-anchor.
Oh, I got lots of weed on deck, so I'll roll you a few joints.
I didn't even get offered before this
Well,
podcast.
I know because I quit 3 weeks ago. I'm trying to take a break. I quit drinking and smoking 3 weeks
He's
ago.
a great guy.
I know, I'm
How did
trying.
you quit smoking weed? How did that go? I need advice. I need to hear
man,
this.
you know what? I actually got strep throat.
Yeah, that's what did it. Yeah,
I
that's
got
right.
strep
That's
throat.
right.
We went to the cottage, and I had quit for some personal. I was gonna quit for some personal reasons and quit drinking because I was getting kind of out of control with drinking too, and then I got strep throat, and I was out for 3-4 days, and then
You had a placebo pill and rebounded back.
So you just weren't smoking during.
I-
Well, before then you weren't.
so
And then-
I basically we came back from Nick's cottage on Monday.
Yeah.
I didn't smoke when I got home because we'd been partying all weekend.
Yeah,
But
I
you
was
weren't
just like-
smoking on the weekend.
I smoked on till Saturday.
Yeah.
I ran
Okay.
out of weed. Then I didn't smoke Sunday because I had no weed. And then Monday I got home, didn't smoke, strep throat till Saturday.
How didn't you smoke on Monday? You were just like hungover, like nothing.
I just felt
wanted you.
fucked. Like I was in a bad. My mood was fucked up, and I was like, and smoking weed's not gonna help me right now. So I was just
Hey.
like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna quit. And I've been, I don't know, that was like 2.5-3 weeks ago now. And honestly, man, my mood, I feel in retrospect, you don't really notice it when you're in it, but my mood was very like
Plateaued.
just mid all the time.
I didn't really care.
And I was irritable a lot. When I quit smoking and drinking, like my mood is just like, oh,
It's
and
like
I don't have like these like big lows.
Really?
I don't get these like big like before if I was like, say I had to even edit this podcast, sometimes it could be a chore. I'd be like,
Yeah, you
I'll do
mentioned
it
that
tomorrow.
before.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll do it tomorrow because I just like, I just don't need that right now. Now I'm like, oh, I'll just do it, and that's how I always was for
A while, for a
the
while,
most of
for
my
a while.
adulthood.
Yeah.
But the last 5 or 6 years, that seems like a long time now that I say it out loud. Last like 5 years, I've smoked a lot of weed,
Absolutely.
and the last year I've drank a lot.
yeah.
So it wasn't helping me at all, man. And I had some health issues last year and shit. So it's just like, it's good. It's honestly like the
Yeah.
best thing
It's
I've
very
done.
hard.
And you're back in the gym now, so.
and my diet's always been like half decent, but my diet's really good right now.
Nice.
And,
good. That's
and
impressive.
obviously I take Harlow out. Oh, Harlow's still outside. I take Harlow out for like at least an hour a day.
Yeah.
I'll say this, like my motivation and my mood are just tenfold better.
Yeah.
Like I hate going to work. And
But I hate it less
it's
now.
a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier now.
See, I like my work because what I'm allowed to do at my work.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Like I normally just do it on the job in Loft,
Yeah.
and like I can still maintain it. But like when I try to quit, it's just like one of those things where I don't know what to do with my time.
I know
you
that was my
like,
problem.
And it's definitely one of those things like, well, now you can fill it in with your day and what you're
Yeah.
doing. Like you're an entrepreneur, that you have to work hard and
Yeah.
you have to hustle. And like weed for me, like mellows you down, like kind of makes you not really care and like
For
less
sure.
motivated.
For sure.
Like I still have things pushing me, like my career and my jobs, but it's like.
But do you even get really high anymore? Because I wasn't really. I would do this.
Bro, I've been smoking these keef infused joints.
No, yeah. See, that's insane though, because I do the same shit.
So it gets me high.
That's insane though, like that you have to reach that point.
Oh.
Is what I'm saying. Like the point where I was smoking so much, it's like, do I really need to be doing this?
But
that's a lot.
You do it, right? Like you become an addict, and it's like you were doing bongs, right? So bongs you notice even more because you'll rip once, maybe at the beginning of your day, and you're high for like half an hour, and then you smoke again. You're just kind of leveling it out again.
I had to quit the smoking out of the bong because the poppers, like, it's automatic. Like I would automatically.
You're doing it.
So I'd switch to joints, and that's how I quit poppers.
So yeah, I'm doing joints now. I'm trying to wane off of it, right? But still, if I like don't smoke, I'm just like more just bored and like my nerves are off end and I have to do it. But definitely something I want to
trust
quit.
me. I hear you because I was the same way. Like I would just be like, "Oh, what else am I doing?"
Literally.
That was my thing. Like, "Oh, what else am I just watching YouTube?" Or I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I might as well smoke a joint. Oh, I'm going for a walk with my dog. How much more enjoyable is it when you go to the park high? But I'm like, you know what?
That's where I am.
Well, now that I'm off of it, I don't even feel and I have tons of weed here, and I got a bunch of different weeds, and then I'm growing upstairs. I'll show you after. Yeah. And it's like, I just don't even feel the need to now. And the biggest thing was alcohol, because that's a different ball game, and that is addictive. Like physically.
Alcohol makes you feel like a god. You're like a rock star. You're like a party.
Combine the two. And then
trust me,
I did.
I used to do it.
But you're only 22, so you're good, man. We partied fucking tons when we were 22. We were always at the bar.
Well, I don't even drink now. I did all my drinking in high school, my partying in high school. So when I got out of it, I liked smoking.
Yeah.
Or like I want to be a cop. Like I think even drinking.
I wasn't at the bar at 22. It was after.
Yeah. You really hit the stride when
you did it after.
Yeah, it was after. Because I was
you were in a relationship,
very long-term relationship.
You were almost married, kind of thing. Me and Nick I went to the bar from 19 to like 26, pretty steadily.
And then I had it 26.
Really?
Dan took over. Yeah.
I picked up the torch. Yeah.
Wow, I couldn't. I just I worked at a bar since I was 19.
So.
Right, like, and I never had that. Like, I never went out before that, so I didn't even know the vibes. And just me personally, like, I couldn't imagine going and doing that. Like, there's such a big difference between drinking and smoking. Yeah. And like, I had a whole thing about like why weed was banned for so long. Yeah. Right. Like, it obviously makes you, I think, a better person by smoking. Like a lot of it makes you less motivated.
For sure.
But like alcohol makes you not care about anybody. Or it makes you do bad things. It lowers your inhibition. Right.
For
it's a main reason why people cheat and do horrible things. But weed doesn't. Yeah. Right. You smoke weed, you're really thinking about yourself and your own choices and how those affect everybody and how those affect yourself. And it's like.
I'm still an advocate for it. I still think it's a awesome thing, but I need to get off it for a good while.
No,
I need a couple months. I need a couple months at least. I've never gone this long.
The detox is good for right now.
That's great.
I did 9 days because I went to Florida last September.
Yeah,
that was the longest I went. No, well,
I didn't want to. We was with your family, right?
I was with my brother and parents, but also mostly like. I don't know. Yeah, you could buy it down there, I guess. There was actually we went to like Little Cuba or some shit, and they were selling CBD, but it was like
it was weed. Yeah,
it was weed. But
you have to. I'm so addicted.
I was drinking, but I was just drinking.
You were drinking, so it didn't matter.
So it didn't really matter.
That's the thing, right? Like, even if I were to quit smoking, I can't even drink, right? I'd be like sitting there vaping and like. I'm just like bored and all my friends smoke, right? So then it comes in like environment, right? Like they were going to smoke. Do I really like not want to?
Yeah.
And it's like. I can't believe you're out of the sense where it's like you don't want to do your activities high. Yeah. Because for me, it's like I couldn't imagine doing anything. Like my argument's like, you want to go fishing? It would be better high.
Oh,
like you want to go walk your dog? It's better high. You want to go game? It's better high. Like I can't even fathom it. Like if I were to not smoke, I'm probably not gaming. Because why would I?
That's good though. Don't game.
Well,
it's fun.
I don't even.
I don't have the time.
I don't game anymore. I started doing chess.
Oh, that's good.
Because like I like gaming, but I want to get like better, and like I can play COD all I want, but it's like chess is different breed.
I say that because I don't play games, but I get people have hobbies and shit. I have dumb hobbies. Like I have hobbies that are different. People have their own hobbies, so gaming is not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't enjoy it.
This is your hobby, right? Like
this is
continuously bettering yourself and
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if this is bettering myself, but it's something to do to fill my time.
I think you're discussing things weekly.
It's a method of bettering yourself.
And it's bettering yourself. It's giving you opportunity to hear other opinions.
But like I said, when I was your age, me and Nick we just drank, went to the bar, and we would like do a lot of woodworking. That was our hobby in our 20s.
Yeah, I remember that.
We would just build furniture, but But
Hey boys, what are we building this weekend? A
Yeah.
little coffee table? All
we
right, new
we
shelf?
Yeah, we be welding and
Yeah.
building and shit. But it's like
Life skills.
I'd say like just go maybe a few days.
Yeah.
Try a few days.
I try it.
Trust me, I get it, man. Like I said, I'm 31 and I just only been 3 weeks off.
Even if I waited 5 days,
Yeah.
I would be like, and smoke. I find it way too hard to like manage it, or like I don't even know, like what's the proper word, like to not do it all the time, to like only
Abstain?
not abstain, but it's like to like, let's say I only want to do it at the nighttime.
Yeah.
It's like there's a certain word.
I don't know, scheduled? Avoidant?
Not avoidant. Regardless, I can't do that. Like if some people like will just smoke like after dinner when it gets dark.
It's routine.
If I smoke it, then it's like the next day it's like, well, I have nothing to do. Might as well smoke earlier. I'm already gonna smoke in the day.
Yeah.
It's a specific.
It's easy to trick yourself too. I was unemployed this year for the first time, and you can imagine how that is. Summer. This is recently actually. Only 3 weeks ago I got back to work, and it was summer, hot as fuck. I got nothing but time. Take my dog out, go shirtless in the sun, walk around town.
Yeah,
Hi.
It's nice.
It was nice. So yeah, I get it, man. I get it for sure. But
It's good to be where you are. I think it's better to quit. Better to quit all these
Yeah.
drugs. Be clear-headed.
yeah, I do feel so much better. I feel fantastic actually. I feel the best I have in probably 6 years.
No, that's
So it's good, man. But we should fucking wrap this up. I'm glad we talked about none of these topics. That's better because we had such a better conversation because of it.
Yeah.
It's good to have these notes, but if you can just have an organic conversation.
better.
I did want to get the segment in because it looks good for clips.
Sure. Go
But
on.
no, we're at an hour. The battery's dying. We're on low battery, so let's wrap this up.
Okay.
Battery low, and like we're at an hour 15. So
Wow.
yeah, we did good, boys.
Jeez.
Fucking Zeeve is welcome to come back every episode if he wants. I'm extending that, and that's not a fake invitation.
Dan would message me and I would come.
That is, I will get your number before you leave. That's
Sounds
not.
good.
That is not a fake invitation.
You guys are great people to talk to.
And maybe it could be Dan. I'll get a new sign. Start being in there.
just the throw the Star of David somewhere there.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of the H, just the Star of David. You'll be fine.
But we got to get an outro before this camera dies. So
What do we do here? All smile.
we just do this. Guys, it's been episode 27 with our special guest Zeeve.
It's me.
Thank you guys for watching. Go check out our sponsor www.brokenglasssupply.ca. Go buy a bong, $50 free shipping.
Go buy a bong.
And,
Store.
Go buy a bong.
Go buy a bong.
buy
And
a
if
bong.
you could like, comment, subscribe, that would be fantastic. And
Yeah. If you thought this was informative as well, please let us know in the comments.
and if you think everything we said was complete nonsense, also let us know in the comments.
Or anything you want us to talk about later, just
Yeah.
put it in the comments.
Yes.
But you're also wrong, so.
But
You're
yeah,
also
we
wrong.
also don't really care.
I'm Davey on everything.
Dan3 TV.
I guess I'm Zeeve.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, guys.
I'll think of a better name.
See ya.
Yeah, I didn't know yours was Dan3 TV. I should have.
Big cheese, no design on my jacket. Work hard and I'm changing my bracket. Talk tough, we ain't hear that racket. Dots came in, you know how to stack it. Take it wrong, but I'ma need my ends though. I got tigers on my chest like Kenzo. Rail came, yeah, he putting that Benz though. Carol's here, man, you know he stay 10 toes. Big dog, man, you know I ain't worried. Bent up, so I'm talking real slurry. Got a blast, bro, I'm always in a hurry. Big Drake, shooting curry like Curry. Take a yerky, ain't know he stay passed up. You don't catch him late night, do you ass out? No, Unc real, how to put it E-class up. They like, X nigga, how you take the fast route? 2018, it was me and Big